The Washington Commanders have not had a winning season since 2015, and since then, the Commanders have fallen short and been at the center of controversy thanks to their previous owner. So today, we are going to rebuild the Washington Commanders by making them the best team in the NFL by winning the Super Bowl, and I'm going to hire ChatGPT as a new owner in hopes that it can give us some AI insights on how we can turn this franchise around. So first, we have to strengthen the team's management by bringing in a new offensive and defensive coordinator while allowing Coach Rivera to use his experience and leadership to lead this team to a Super Bowl in just 3 seasons. But if we fail to hoist the Lombardi Trophy, I will be giving away a copy of Madden 24 to one of my subscribers who comments down below. Our next step is to evaluate our roster and acquire talent through drafting, trades, and free agency. After evaluating our entire roster, ChatGPT suggests making a trade in order to bring in someone who can make an immediate impact and also build for the future. There was plenty of interest around the league for Chase Young, but ultimately this Chiefs offer was too good to pass up. And since ChatGPT wants us to build for the future, we went ahead and picked up a first rounder from the Lions for Montez Sweat. Jacoby Brissett is a quarterback heading into the 2023-2024 season who has his #1 target in Terry McLaurin and second-year receiver Jahan Dotson leading the way. Heading into the first game of the season, the New York Jets, led by Aaron Rodgers, were able to score at will on the defense. The Commanders showed lots of heart and determination by keeping the game close, but they ultimately ended up losing to the Jets by 3 points. After that loss, the Commanders went on to win their next 2 games against the Panthers and the Cowboys, but then lost 3 straight games before rebounding and beating their divisional rivals, the New York Giants. Kendall Fuller and Cameron Curl are both due for a contract extension, so we asked ChatGPT which player we should sign, and it looks like Cameron Curl is a better fit for the Commanders since he is younger and has plenty of upside. So let's go ahead and offer Cameron Curl a contract and see what we could get for Kendall Fuller on the trade market. When deciding which team we should trade Kendall Fuller to, ChatGPT suggests making a trade with the New England Patriots since they have a reputation for making shrewd trades to improve their own roster. We just showed up an important piece on the offensive line in Trent Brown, and we have another first-round pick this season. And with those 2 new additions to the team, the Commanders snuck into the playoffs with a winning record for the first time since 2015. Jacoby Brissett finished the season throwing for over 5,000 yards and 42 touchdowns, and 2,600 of those yards went to Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. The Commanders take on an LA Rams team in the wildcard game, and although Jacoby Brissett started off the game strong, the Rams team, full of experienced players, were able to get the job done with ease. The Las Vegas Raiders went on to win the Super Bowl over the Minnesota Vikings, and as you can see, Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald both had incredible seasons for the Rams. Now that the 2023-2024 season is over, we have to focus on free agency and the NFL draft. The free agency market is filled with elite talent like Rashawn Gary, Trayvon Diggs, Darius Slay, and superstar quarterback Justin Herbert. Going back to the first question we asked ChatGPT on how to rebuild the Commanders, free agency was an integral part of that, so we are going to be bringing in Darius Slay, Trayvon Diggs, and Jedrick Wills Jr., showing up some positions of need before the NFL draft. Remember the trade that we made with the Detroit Lions earlier in the season? Well, they ended up finishing dead last in the NFL, which means we could own the first overall pick. And according to NFL analysts, Caleb Williams is drawing comparisons to NFL superstar Patrick Mahomes. After asking ChatGPT what we should focus on, team needs comes in at #1. And what is the biggest need for our team? The quarterback position. So with the #1 overall pick, the Commanders draft Caleb Williams out of USC. We decided to fill more positional needs in the first round with outside linebacker Dallas Turner and tight end Brock Bowers. Season #2 started off strong with Caleb Williams looking like a true #1 quarterback in the NFL. He made the game look so easy, throwing for 461 yards, 4 touchdowns, and more importantly, started to develop a key relationship with Terry McLaurin, who went off for 187 yards with 13 receptions. The Commanders ended up winning their season opener against the Bucs, and they kept that momentum going against the Cardinals in Week 2, with Caleb Williams finding Terry McLaurin in the end zone twice in the first quarter. The Cardinals made a comeback late in the 4th quarter, but Caleb Williams showed the whole world why he was a #1 overall pick this year, throwing an absolute laser to Scary Terry, who ends up scoring with no time left on the clock, and now the Commanders are 2-0 to start the season. During their Week 3 victory over the Cowboys, Commanders fans received the worst possible news. X-rays showed a break in Caleb Williams' throwing hand and will miss the next 6 weeks. During the next 2 games, backup Sam Howell could not get the job done, losing to the Browns and Saints, but injuring himself in the process. Luckily for the Commanders, Russell Wilson was available in free agency, so ChatGPT made the decision to bring him in on a 1-year deal worth $5 million. He was able to suit up and win a crucial game against the Pittsburgh Steelers while Caleb Williams was sidelined by his hand injury. We have lots of cap room, and when asked if we should retain players who are playing well for the team, ChatGPT suggests we assess their performance, potential, team dynamics, contract terms, and a long-term strategy. Based off of all that info, we are going to sign Darius Slay, Nick Bolton, and Deron Payne. The Panthers defense was all over our offensive line, leaving Caleb Williams to get sacked over and over again. With that loss, we were at the trade deadline and still have a chance at winning the division. So I went ahead and asked ChatGPT which teams we should make a trade with to improve our roster. We have the Patriots, the Dolphins, or the Texans. We ended up trading Brian Robinson, a 2026 first and second round pick, for Damian Pierce and Shaq Mason. But our bad luck continues as we just lost Trayvon Diggs for 3 weeks with a broken thumb and Antonio Gibson for the rest of the season. Even with those injuries, the Commanders continued to show their grit and determination, playing some hard-nosed football and defeating some really good teams along the way. Heading into Week 18, the NFC East is far from decided, with the Eagles, Cowboys, and our Commanders tied with an 8-8 record. Caleb Williams wastes no time finding speedy Jahan Dotson for a 57-yard touchdown strike to start the game. The Commanders keep their foot on the gas and have a 20-6 lead in the third quarter, but Caleb Williams gets hit hard and has to leave the game with an undisclosed injury. Russell Wilson comes into the game with the lead and uses his legs to get into scoring positions, and on the very next play, he finds Brock Bowers in the end zone to extend the lead to 20 points. We ended up defeating the Eagles and finished at the top of the NFC East, but the news regarding Caleb Williams' injury was not ideal and will miss the next 3 weeks. It all comes down to which Russell Wilson will show up. Will it be prime Russ on the Seahawks or let's ride Russ on the Broncos? We take on the 5th seed 49ers in the wildcard game, and our defense came up big early on, getting a much needed stop. Russell Wilson comes in and finds De'Ami Brown with a beautiful pass for a 23-yard touchdown. Wilson showed the world he still has it, throwing for 270 yards with 2 touchdowns, and led the Commanders to their first playoff win since 2005. Green Bay finished the season with a 13-4 record, and they had the 6th best defense this season thanks to Jair Alexander. This is going to be a real test for Russell Wilson, and he felt that pressure early. The Packers defense was just too much for Russell Wilson as he throws an interception in the 4th quarter, but by then the game was already out of hand and the Commanders failed to make it to the Super Bowl for the 2nd straight year. The Chiefs are your 2024 Super Bowl champions, defeating the Green Bay Packers, and Joe Burrow wins his first NFL MVP award. After 13 years playing for 3 different teams, Russell Wilson announces his retirement from the NFL, leaving us with Sam Howell as our backup heading into the 2025 season. The free agency market is officially open, and Lamar Jackson headlines the 2025 free agency class along with Najee Harris, but we have our eyes set on Josh Sweat. So I went ahead and asked ChatGPT what it thought of him, and it seems like he would be a great fit for the Commanders with his athleticism and his ability to get to the quarterback. So we ended up signing him to the team on a 5-year deal for $60 million. We went ahead and drafted players based on the needs of our team, and as you can see, our roster is looking much improved since last season. I did notice that we were missing an edge rusher to play alongside Josh Sweat, so I asked ChatGPT to name 20 edge rushers, and one name that came up was Sam Hubbard, and we were able to trade 2 late-round picks to bring him over. The season started off great for the Commanders as Caleb Williams had himself an incredible game, defeating the defending Super Bowl champions 31-28. As the season continued, the Commanders kept playing very well and are currently 5-3, leading the NFC East, with Terry McLaurin playing his best football with 60 receptions for 815 yards through 8 games. After a big win against the Raiders in Week 9, Caleb Williams suffers another injury, forcing him to miss the next 7 weeks. And to make things worse, the Commanders don't have the cap space to bring in a quarterback in free agency. In their Week 11 matchup against the Lions, both teams struggled offensively, but Antonio Gibson was able to rush for 2 touchdowns, and the Commanders barely snuck out the victory. The Commanders suffered a heartbreaking loss over the New York Giants in Week 15, but were able to bounce back, winning 2 of their next 3 games, earning themselves a spot in the wildcard games, and they go up against the New York Giants. The game came down to the last 5 minutes where it was all tied up, but Caleb Williams and Terry McLaurin took over, followed by a 1-yard rushing touchdown from Antonio Gibson to put the game out of reach, and the Commanders are now moving on to the divisional round for the 2nd straight season. The game against the 49ers was another back-and-forth game where Caleb Williams and the Commanders took the lead late in the 4th quarter, leaving Brock Purdy no time to start a comeback, and the Commanders are now moving on to the NFC Championship game. Just one more game standing in our way to make a Super Bowl appearance, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this game felt very one-sided. The Commanders scored early and often, taking a 24-point lead heading into halftime. Damian Pierce put the dagger in during the final 5 minutes of the game, earning a spot to play for the Super Bowl. Even with this injury-riddled season, the Commanders are in the Super Bowl and they take on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Their first Super Bowl appearance since 1991. Can Caleb Williams and Terry McLaurin lead this team to a victory? And Caleb Williams starts the game off strong, finding Terry McLaurin multiple times before Damian Pierce punches in for a 5-yard touchdown rush. It's now Josh Allen's turn to show the world what he has. finding Stephon Diggs and then Dawson Knox for a huge gain. Dallas Turner gets off his block and sacks Josh Allen for a huge 9-yard loss. The Bills are able to kick a field goal to get on the board, but still trail by 4 points heading into the second half. Josh Allen begins the second half with a nice pass to Donovan Peoples-Jones and caps the drive off with a touchdown pass. Oh wait, no! His feet were not in bounds. Caleb Williams and the Commanders work their way down the field and are now at the 10-yard line, and he somehow puts the ball in a spot only De'Ami Brown could make for an unbelievable touchdown. Josh Allen throws a costly interception to Cameron Dancer, and now Caleb Williams can extend the lead here late in the fourth quarter. And so far, it's looking great, finding De'Ami Brown for a 12-yard gain, and on first and goal, he hands it off to Dameon Pierce, who easily punches in for 6. One last chance for Josh Allen to make something happen, and he finds Stephon Diggs for a nice gain before finding Dawson Knox in the end zone for 6. The Commanders hand the ball off 2 straight times for only 2 yards, and then Caleb Williams gets sacked, losing 10 yards. 1 minute left for Josh Allen to mount the comeback, and on first down, he throws a screen pass for 3 yards. He follows that up by taking a huge 13-yard sack, and on 4th and 20, one last attempt, Josh Allen throws an interception right into the hands of Cameron Curl, and the Washington Commanders are your Super Bowl champions for the first time since 1991. We ended up completing our goal of winning a Super Bowl, but I'm still going to be giving away a copy of Madden 24 to one of you, so make sure you comment down below and make sure to follow me on Twitter because all the details will be announced soon. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click on this one. I know you'll enjoy it.